Okay then, what up friendos? Welcome back. Fellow MMORPG enjoyers, got a real treat for you today. The Lazy Peon released a video about the Quinfall, doing like a review, and then a bunch of stuff he brought up in the video the developers wanted to speak to him about, and he conducted like an interview with them, and he messaged me and said, here's the video where I go through it all, and also here's the transcript of the questions that I sent and the answers that they sent me. If you want to make a video, you can react to my video, or you can just do whatever. And I just said, I'll probably react to the video for some quick, cheap, and fun content, because if I was to go and, you know, research this as I did a year or 2 years ago when I made the original video talking about the Quinfall and all the issues with it and the developer, I don't think there'd be that much more to dig up than I already dug up. So it's more just going to be like a refresher, go through what the dev said, see if there's any weird things that they said, and, you know, just make a video for people to watch and hopefully get something out of it. But the real reason why there's no massive point in, you know, going and looking under the couch cushions to see if we can find a $5 bill is the Quinfall did exactly what everyone knew the Quinfall was going to do. It was going to come out and be not very good, because, you know, 6,000 people peak on launch 27 days ago, and then now they're peaking at 2,700 players. So they've lost over half their player base in less than a month for a $20 box price game. And some people are enjoying it as a 49% positive review score, which is fine. The thing with this is, has and always will be, any indie MMO from like no tenured history of releasing games and products that people know and having that trust is always going to be met with skepticism, and it's almost always going to result in a game coming out that has no real longevity. And that's just where the Quinfall is. And obviously, if you didn't follow this game originally, there was a whole back and forth for months about this being like a scam, which we'll get into in the video, my opinion on that whole thing and how people use the word scam and things. But let's just watch what Lazy Peon has to say, and then we'll go over some stuff.
This is a game that's had quite a bit of controversy surrounding its development, so for the first time, I felt it was appropriate to make a buyer beware section listing all the red flags. After that
Oh, I didn't realize I'm in 1.75x. It's just how I watch all my videos.
Video release, the developers of the game reached out to me requesting an interview to address these red flags. So for the sake of fairness and hearing both sides, today we're going to go over their response. First though, it's worth mentioning that after my previous video, I had even more people reach out to me about how easy this game is to hack. And I even got one guy in a Discord call to show me the hacks live via screen share, even after the devs
Yeah, this looks reasonable. This looks like a reasonable game to be playing. Yeah.
implemented easy anti-cheat into the game.
Why is it such a low quality?
He also claimed that him and multiple other people from the Quinfall Discord have been banned for trying to report bugs, as well as other players that have been cheating, which is something that I asked the dev in this interview. But before we go further down the Quinfall rabbit hole, support the content by listening to today's sponsor, Mandragora, the action RPG we've all been waiting for.
Oh wow, you've got a Mandragora sponsor. Mate, I covered this game when it first appeared on Kickstarter. I'm 90% certain I backed this game on Kickstarter. Let me check. Not to derail the video too much, which I'm absolutely going to do right now. But this game looks fucking awesome. So, good sponsor there. At least it's not a, you know, your regular expected mobile game sponsor. You know, whatever you're going to do to pay the bills, I'm not judging. I do as well. I backed Mandragora. $25. They sent me a message and I never replied or opened it, because that's what I always do on my Kickstarter pledges. Mate, I've spent so much money on Kickstarter indie games in the last like 3 years. I need to go back to doing the Kickstarter videos. You know, not the Kickstarter court. They will make a return. Don't worry about that. 2025 is going to be a return of that series. Maybe on this channel, maybe on the other channel. Who fucking knows? But I mean the Kira's Kickstarter adventures, because man, Kickstarter games are great, and this looks like a really good one.
4 is launching on April 17th. Mandragora blends skill-based combat, deep character customization, and Metroidvania-style exploration in a beautifully hand-painted world.
Yeah, I mean, this
Think gothic
sick.
beauty meets Souls-like challenge meets rewarding exploration. It's gorgeous and brutal all at once. Here's the lowdown. You'll build a character from 6 unique classes, each with their own talent tree, and customize your loadout with a massive arsenal of weapons, armor, items, and spells. skills. The combat is skill-driven, so every strike matters. Prepare to face relentless enemies and towering bosses that will test your timing, strategy, and perseverance. Seriously, these bosses are no joke. Explore a sprawling, interconnected world with hidden areas and secrets waiting to be discovered, and the story, it's a deep branching narrative crafted by the legendary Brian Mitsoda, so expect twists, turns, and multiple endings.
I don't know who that is. I'm outing myself here as a non-gamer. I am the tourist that the anti-woke warriors called me. I am the tourist.
Your choices will actually matter. Plus, the epic soundtrack, composed by Christos Antonios of Septic Flesh, will immerse you even deeper into the world.
No idea that
Ready
is.
to dive in? Pre-order Mandragora on Steam now using my link in the description. Everyone who pre-orders gets exclusive digital rewards and access to 2 preview builds, so you can start playing immediately. Don't miss out on this incredible dark fantasy adventure. April 17th, 2025. Mark your calendars. So for this interview, I decided that doing it over messages was best, as the devs don't speak any English, and I wanted to be able to go away and try and validate their answers after. So let's get into it. In your previous MMO, Kira Online, you officially partnered with an RMT.
This is like a classic, quintessential, like non-Western MMO interface. If you've ever played any the games from like any MMOs that came from just like random publishers and developers in the early 2000s, this is the interface that you would see.
Website.
Scary.
Have you changed your stance on the RMT situation in Quinfall? If so, why are people openly advertising RMT services in chat and not being banned? Kira Online was not released on an international platform like Steam. It was only available to players in Turkey. The platform you mentioned did not sell items that could be considered RMT, such as character or gold sales. Instead, it was merely a payment.
What? Yes, it did. The platform you mentioned did not sell any items that could be considered RMT. Yes, it fucking did.
Gateway where players could purchase Kira Dinar, the in-game currency.
They have this guy, the content creator role in the Quinfall Discord, despite having advertisements for an RMT website all over his Discord. I mean, that's a good look, isn't it? Yeah, that's a good look for your game. Fairly sure that's against Steam TOS, by the way. Should probably not be having that advertised in your Discord server and promoting that person. Probably not a great idea, but you know.
Currency of Kira Online, similar to how Steam has its own payment system. Since we did not have our own payment infrastructure, we partnered with this platform as a solution. We did not allow RMT back then, and we do not allow it now. Players engaging in RMT are permanently banned based on player reports and our game master team's inspections.
For whatever it's worth, I was speaking to like some Turkish people who used to play this game, because that's where this comes from, by the way. And they said the exact opposite to this. They were like, oh yeah, no, RMT is just like a thing in this game. And even when I made the video, there was a bunch of Turkish people defending this in the comment section, saying basically like, oh, Turkish people and Turkish games are just different to the West. So, you know, why are you commenting on this, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know why the 180 on this, when, I mean, there's still screenshots and videos of this website and what they had on the website. So yeah, you know, the thing is, right, I personally don't give a fuck if you did something that really makes no massive difference in the past. Like if the game had RMT in it, the old game, years gone by, I don't care. What I do care about is when you obfuscate or lie or say something that people can fact check into, or where there's like a layer of abstraction or something that just comes off dishonest, purely because anything you then ask me to trust you about later, I'm not going to. And it colors every interaction I'd ever have with you and your company going forward. Whereas if you just said, yeah, that was an old game and we you know, we've moved past that, it doesn't really matter, I'd be like, yeah, you're right. You know, it's just a thing that with like big companies, like big corporations and stuff, I can understand why they always try and PR and market speak, just try to bullshit their way out of things. Oreo, don't do that. That's a television that is probably never going to get used because I've still not unpacked it in a month. and they didn't pack the stand for it, so I can't do anything with it right now, or the power cable or the remote for both the TVs. So it's really good, going good. Yeah, I understand why big companies bullshit you, because legally, it's probably a defense of just, oh, we'll just obfuscate and whatever else, and then nobody can really catch us on something further down the line, and we might have legal problems. If you're like a small dev or something, you should just be like, yeah, own it. It is what it is. Whatever, who cares? And just move on. And people would be like, yeah, actually, you're right. That's true. Nobody does care, but they never do.
In our latest updates, we've made it even more difficult by implementing level restrictions for the global chat system. Additionally,
that's like the bare minimum, by the way. No online game with currency trading should ever launch without something like this anyway. In the latest update, we put something in that World of Warcraft learned 20 fucking years ago.
Major MMORPGs like Albion Online and New World also face similar issues from time to time. However, no one claims that these games are in partnership with RMT websites.
Those games also would immediately remove the content creator role of somebody advertising RMT websites in their game, in their Discord server, and also have never partnered with an RMT website. So there is a little bit of context there, but I do agree that the criticism of there's gold spammers in your game, is that because you accept RMT, is kind of just pointless, just because every MMO has gold spammers. Every game has gold spammers. Log on Path of Exile 2, they are gold spammers. They're whispering you and shit. They're posting in trade chat. This never goes away. It never will go away. Remember the good old days in World of Warcraft where they figured out how to stop the gold spammers in chat for a little while, and instead gold spammers would fly hack gnomes to land and spell out gold advertising on the floor in Stormwind and Ironforge. Those were the days, bro. The creative way to make a business out of selling gold. World of Warcraft, a history, is just that's on display, and it's so fucking funny. That shit was hilarious. I wish they'd left it in the game just because it was funny, but that went on for a while. This will always go on. It is what it is. It's not a big deal.
Sometimes people focus only on negative comments and form judgments accordingly. That being said, many players who actually experience our game express their satisfaction. Ultimately, who you choose to believe is entirely up to you.
Yes, believe us, the people repeatedly saying things that just don't make any sense. But I do love when companies do this. It is true, some people are enjoying the game. It's got 49% positive reviews, and 2,700 players are logging on every day at peak. So probably 10,000+ people per day are logging on to play, which is good. It is what it is. If people enjoy the game, cool. That's great. I hope you continue to, and hopefully the game continues to get better. Because having games vanish isn't something I want to happen personally. But it is funny when you frame it as that being said, many players who actually experience our games, that's just a way to hand wave criticism away. They don't speak English as a first language, so maybe it's a little bit unfair to pick through specific wording. But this feels like the person writing it has a good handle on English, whether it's AI, who fucking knows. But either way, whenever you say something oh, people who actually engage with what I'm doing or saying are actually satisfied, what you're saying is everyone else is uninformed, and also dismissing the fact that over 50% of people who engage with it don't like what you're doing or are satisfied, so it doesn't really mean shit.
I don't entirely trust the devs' response to this question. They said the platform you mentioned did not sell any items that could be considered RMT.
You can fact
so I checked this website myself, buynogame.com, and you can buy Lost Ark Gold, PoE 2 orbs, and items for various MMOs such as Night Online. Certainly meets the definition of an RMT site to me. Yeah, unfortunately, Wayback Machine isn't working for this website, so I can't find exactly what was sold in their previous MMO. So if you want to trust the devs that they only used this RMT website as a payment gateway, then that's up to you.
Yeah, the problem is that the pay to win in the game was also fucked beyond belief. So In combination, those two things are just like, yeah, disqualifying.
Many people felt that your previous MMO, Kira Online, was rug pulled. What caused you to shut the game down so quickly and begin work on a new MMO? First and foremost, Kira Online was not shut down suddenly. In its final 4 months, the game had an average of 50 to 100 active players, making it increasingly difficult to cover server costs. We openly communicated this with our players and informed them that if things continued this way, we would not be able to sustain the game in the coming months. So the shutdown was not unexpected. Players were aware of the situation. The closure of Kira Online was not a decision made.
That's fair enough. I'm not going to go fact check it. I can't remember what I was told originally. That's fine. Games fail. It's all good. The issue is this next part.
To transition to Quinfall. In fact, we had already started developing Quinfall. Our goal was to focus on a larger global project, and as a team, we expanded our efforts to bring this vision to life.
Now, what you have to remember is when I looked into this, this is one guy, right? This was one guy who developed a game called Kira Online, released it into beta, took money from people to play the game, then started working on another game while that game was still in beta, and basically did abandon that game. You can say, oh, you know, there was only 50 to 100 active players, but you are one fucking person. You're maintaining one game and developing an entirely new game. Like, in any other walk of life, if this was like a project releasing on Steam Early Access, I mean, look at how people treat Dean Rocket Hall, right? Releases a game, sticks with it for a little bit, moves on and releases another game, leaves a team working on that game, and the games are usually pretty good. You get your money's worth, typically. But people treat him like he's abandoned scamming people. You're one dude developing a game, and then you're saying, oh, we didn't abandon it. One, who's fucking we? Two, you by definition did. If you don't have time to make one MMO as one guy anyway. So how the fuck are you going to make two? You physically can't. Unless you are like, I don't know, bro. You're the best programmer ever made. You just spawned into this world with like fucking anime level abilities of coding things. To think that working on a completely separate game, a whole new MMO, would mean that you didn't abandon the first one that was floundering. I don't care, by the way. If you release a game, it doesn't do well, and then you're like, okay, we're closing the game and I'm going to go work on another one. I do care if you say, oh, we were already working on it, by the way, while this game was going on, and but I didn't abandon it. You're just lying. Like, it is what it is. That's very plain for anybody to see.
So there was no direct connection between the shutting down of Kira Online and moving on to Quinfall. So from what I understand, Kira Online never made it out of beta, and seemingly only had 2 years worth of development put into it before being shut down. So I can see why people feel it was abandoned. Also, I do find it a bit odd that they started work on the Quinfall whilst they already had another MMO still in beta, especially considering they apparently only have one dev that does all the coding, which they confirm in a question that I ask later. If they were losing money every month and didn't see a future in the project, then fair enough, I can see why they'd shut it down. What do you say in response to the claims that your game has no anti-cheat? We use server-side anti-cheat systems in the game. However, in the early days, this system produced some false positives, so it was temporarily disabled.
Oh, bro. What do you say to not having anti-cheat in a full-release MMO? Well, you're right. We fucking didn't have any, because it didn't work, so we decided to launch the game anyway with no anti-cheat. Holy shit, is this the UI of this game, by the way? Bro, that looks exactly like Black Desert Online. What the fuck? Even the icons, bro. Do I have to pull the... I'm going to pull this up. Black Desert Online Remastered Interface. Bro, that looks exactly... I've not played BDO in like a year and a bit. But... What the fuck, bro? Look at the interface. What the fuck? That's exactly the same. Even the icons are identical. Bro, that's shameless. Even the ability icons and everything are the same. Oh man, that is
As a quick solution, we
shameless.
integrated Easy Anti-Cheat. Additionally, we're currently in discussions with different anti-cheat companies to establish a stronger long-term protection system. Our goal is to secure a licensing agreement that will provide a robust and permanent solution. We take cheating very seriously and are actively working on implementing the most effective...
Yeah, it fucking looks like it, right? This is just one of those things, right? You just don't release your game if your anti-cheat doesn't work, and if you don't have a solution for anti-cheat. It is what it is. In an MMO where I'm going to say something that will be unpopular, I do like doing that. These cats are going nuts, by the way, which is why I'm super distracted. I always have like this opinion on pay to win that a lot of people just don't vibe with at all, and that is pay to win is not the biggest issue about monetization in games. The biggest issue about monetization in games is pay for convenience, because convenience essentially means the developers are incentivized to put things in the game that make the game worse for you to play so that you can pay to overcome that hurdle. And it's usually quite a lot of money, and it's usually just annoying shit that makes the game unfun, which does lead to a competitive advantage if you don't have it. But it's not like... But pay to win in general of like, oh, I just can buy stuff to sell to other players for in-game gold, and then I use that gold to buy the best gear in the game. That mechanic existing sucks, and I agree it shouldn't, but that's not the world we live in. But the issue people have with that usually is the illusion of the ability to compete and the ability of fairness. And why I say it's an illusion is because, but whether it's paying money to get stuff in the game that other people can get, or spending 16 hours in the game grinding all day while you're, going to work, coming home, having dinner with your wife. I thought I was about to say having wife with your dinner, but mate, I mean, whatever floats your boat. Tucking your kids into bed, reading them a bedtime story, and then getting on the game for 1 hour a night. Whether it's column A or column B, it makes no fucking difference. And then obviously adding in the skill element as well of these people are probably just going to be better at the game than you. So it's the illusion of competition that most people care about. They don't actually care whether they can compete, because they can't. What they care about is the illusion of fairness. When you launch an MMO, that's a long-winded point, a long-winded explanation of what this point's going to be. When you launch an MMO, or any game with like a persistent economy, people want to feel like it's fair and that they're on equal footing, at least at the beginning. And as soon as you let them know you're not, somebody's doing something that's like super accelerating their gameplay by orders of magnitude that you can never do, by cheating. This makes people quit games. It absolutely 1000% does. It makes me quit games as well. I think about when Path of Exile 2 launched recently, and I was playing the game a lot. I played 700 plus hours in the first month, basically. I was on that game fucking constantly. I was playing 16 hours a day, and I was trading constantly. I had 40 tabs open, trade sniping, trading, flipping, buying, selling, and I had insane amounts of currency. And then I found out that people were cheating, and people were rolling back the server to repeatedly craft the best items in the game. And I immediately just stopped playing, because I was like, okay, I've done all this, and I'm having fun playing the game, but now I feel like my efforts, the time I put in and everything, is just... So I'll just wait for this to be fixed and the new league to come out. With an MMO, there's no new league coming out. It's an MMO. Unless you're going to wipe it, which they've said they're not going to, I'm pretty sure. This issue immediately disqualifies this game in most people's eyes if they know about it. If they log in and they see people are like, oh, we've got all this crazy shit, we're super high level, we're fucking, we're winning the game because we've been cheating, the game's fucked. It just is. This happened with New World. We all saw it. People were duping, clans were exploiting, people were getting insane amounts of currency and making the game imbalanced. That was one of many issues that compounded in New World being what it is. But this will make people quit. And in MMOs, especially sandbox MMOs, especially PvP MMOs, the snowball rolling downhill is what kills these games every single time without fail. Even if this game had a healthy player base that could support it, As soon as people start quitting for one reason, and people start seeing less people in the world, the trade's not as popping, there's not as many people to do stuff with, there's not as many people to find in PK, the snowball keeps getting bigger because then those people quit. And then there's less people, which makes more people quit. This is like the death knell of sandbox PvP games. I played all of them. Not going to play this one because I feel like it's probably a waste of my time. But I played all of them, and this is how it goes, always. So this is fucking dog shit. You never release a game like this.
System. Okay, I mean, it's all well and good claiming that you take cheating seriously, but their actions don't match their words. Why would you even launch a game in early access without already having a permanent solution to anti-cheat? I checked the Quinfall Discord and they don't plan on doing any wipes. So anyone who cheats now and gets super far ahead will have a permanent advantage. They already went through all of this with their previous...
Why the fuck is that guy's name CEO in the Discord? I hope he doesn't work for them, and if he's like the main guy and he has his name as CEO in Discord, like, fuck me.
Memo which was super easily exploited. So the fact that this is a problem in Quinfall can't be put down to inexperience but incompetence at this point. What do you say in response to the claim that your game is client-side authoritative and easily exploited by hackers? Due to the vast content of our game, some data is processed client-side. However, all of this data is filtered and verified by the server before being reflected in the game.
So as you can see on screen here, this is the cheat guy that Peon talked about earlier, that is literally showing that this is completely incorrect. He's literally using like a fucking cheat engine that he's created, and he's just teleporting mobs into a big blob with God mode on and attacking, as you can see there. I don't know if you can read it. It says 3x hits, and he's got God mode on and super speed. Like, this is pure dog shit. I don't care what you say about, like, no MMOs have this. No big MMOs have this issue. This shit is all server-side, as far as I'm aware.
This means that these client-side processes do not create critical security vulnerabilities, such as item duplications or other major
Completely irrelevant, because the amount of stuff you can farm by doing this might as well be a dupe.
Exploits. The client-side processing is mostly limited to aspects like movement speed modifications, attack speed adjustments, or minor tweaks to NPC behavior. These types of exploits can be prevented though through third-party anti-cheat solutions.
Bro, he's got invisibility as well. Jesus.
And we are taking necessary precautions in this regard. The day after they implemented easy anti-cheat into the game, I got in a call with a guy on Discord who opened up a cheat client that was coded within 20 minutes and had powers such as God mode, 3x attack speed, the ability to suck all mobs in an area together to speed farm, perma auto fishing whilst playing the game normally, being able to kill other players in safe zones, super speed material gathering.
Wait, perma auto fishing while being able to play the game? No, wait, he's fishing while he's running around playing the game. Bro, bro, this fucking game. What a pile of shit.
And access to areas of the map currently not available without exploits. If these things aren't considered critical security vulnerabilities or major exploits, then I don't know what is. To be fair, from what I can tell, you can't spawn in items or dupe, but you can do pretty much everything else. On screen, I sent some questions to the Unity dev that made the cheat client. You can pause here to read.
How easy were you able to create a cheat client for the game, and what level of expertise will be required to make it? Could anyone do this? He replies, it's not super easy. Making a full cheat client takes time and know-how. It's not something just anyone could whip up. If you have decent programming skills, you might be able to bypass anti-cheat, and after that, it's easy. Yeah, this is like the barrier for most cheating in games. The anti-cheat is the hurdle, and as soon as you get past the anti-cheat, you can then basically do what the game allows you to do, right? Which in most games is stop it, you dick. In most games is not a ton of stuff, but there will always be things you can cheat in games. But it just depends on what the server then picks up, because even if you bypass anti-cheat, servers usually have like, oh, you're doing something fucking weird, we're going to kick you, or we're going to ban you, or we're going to send this data to, you know, flag your account, and then somebody's going to manually look at it, maybe with a ban at the same time. So if the server's not doing that and you get past the anti-cheat, GG, right? Because then the things that the developer just said just you can just do it. If anyone played Black Desert Online, they had the same issue. From what I understand, the issue they had was they tied like you know, in a lot of Japanese games that they release, obviously I know BDO is not Japanese, it's Korean, I'm just giving an example. A lot of Japanese games that release, they tie like the game's speed to FPS, and in BDO this is the same shit, and they were tying like move speed and attack speed to frames directly, and basically if you bypass the anti-cheat in that game, you could manipulate your character to basically fly around the game at super speed and use abilities that had no cooldown, just infinitely fast, so you could insta-gib big groups of mobs. And this completely fucked the game for a very long time. I don't know what it's like now, but it was so bad that they literally had to delete game modes from the game. And this is just a thing that happened. So this is normal-ish, but most games don't have, most MMOs do not have this problem. Most MMOs don't have the ability for you to just make your character infinitely fast and attack super fast and have God mode just because you bypass the anti-cheat. You'll typically run into issues. Did the anti-cheat make things difficult for you in any way? It depends on how aggressively it's implemented. Sometimes it's just a small hurdle, yeah. Are you aware of other people in the game using similar hacks? Yes, of course. What would the developers need to do to prevent these hacks from being possible? More aggressive implementation of anti-cheat? Doubt they will with only one developer. Even if they had a better anti-cheat, the anti-cheat is always just the barrier that you have to get over before you then do what you're going to do in the game, as far as I'm aware. Have you played other MMOs that are this easily hackable before? You're surprised by how easy it was to hack? And he says, Quinfall was extremely easy because they launched the game with 0% protection, which made it easy to get inside the client. Had to translate to English, some words might be messed up around there. So yeah, the game's just fucking, it's just poorly made.
The response. Why did you Photoshop your company logo onto a game dev office stock image? This has honestly been one of the funniest topics for us. When we added the image to our website, we never claimed this is our office or this represents us. There was no such statement in our descriptions either. The image was simply a placeholder.
Bro, can you imagine the level of gaslighting to be able to say this? Oh, we never said that this was our game. That would be like the equivalent of just saying, oh, this is the Quinfall, and then showing a trailer of like a fucking of World of Warcraft. Like, oh, when criticized, we didn't say that trailer was our game. No, it's implied though, isn't it? If you have about us and then you have a picture of a fucking studio, what are other people to assume? That it's not you? Like, I honestly never understand how people can say shit like this and then just be like, yeah, people believe this. We didn't say it was us. Why'd you put it on your website then? Oh, you know, it's just, he literally says here, oh, somebody just did it as a placeholder. Like, fair enough. Just, you're using a logo here. Just use the logo. Why go out of your way to, you've done more work by photoshopping your fucking logo onto an office that isn't yours. You've literally done more work to turn around and say, we didn't actually say that was our office. Like, no, but that's what you wanted people to believe, and now you're lying about it.
That our web
not just lying, you're gaslighting the fuck out of people with this. Like, look at this shit, bro. There's no way that making this took less work than just posting a placeholder image of your logo, which you now have on your website. Like, that's fucking wild.
Designer temporarily added during the website's development. Frankly, we never expected it to draw this much attention because for us, it wasn't an issue at all.
I hope that's photoshopped as well, because if not, they literally cut off the sections that show that it's basically like I mean, you can see this anyway and be like, that's just when you go to buy a house and all the houses are new and they just have the I can't think of the word for some reason, the show home. This is like a show office. It's like a photography office or something. But if you cut the sides off, it's a little bit less obvious. If they did that, I don't know whether they did or not.
At all. Fair enough response, but I think it's low IQ to not acknowledge why the MMO community would consider this a red flag. From our point of view, when the Quinfall was announced, we could see this incredibly ambitious MMO talking about having all these crazy features.
Yeah.
The first thing you're logically going to do is look up the team behind it to see if they're legit, because a massive MMO takes a large team with a lot of funding, and over the years we've had a lot of scams and vaporware in this genre. How many developers are working on the Quinfall currently? I'm not talking about testers, moderators, or freelancers. How many devs with coding experience are part of Voreg technology? The Quinfall project initially started with just one senior developer. Our team has since expanded and we now have a total of 42 members, including freelancers, testers, and moderators.
Not what I asked, but okay. So they started with one guy. This is consistent with what I was told the whole time. It's just this one dude.
Our core team consists of 10 people. However, in terms of the game's software structure, the 2016 square kilometer Quinfall universe is built on 8 million lines of optimized code written by one single developer, Frenzy.
When did they start working on this game? There's no way this is real. There's no way this dude's written 8 million lines of code as one guy in this amount of time. I think it's been like 3 years or something since he's been working on this. This isn't real life. It's okay. If you know, you know. But it's funny to say, oh, we've got 42 members on our team now, but our core team consists of 10 people. So if you're one of the other 32 people, guess you're just a fucking... You're just one of the riff-raff that they've got in there. If you're serious about your game and the game's come out and you've sold the game, it's $20 each, by the way. At least in the West. I don't know what it is for, people in Turkey or whatever. But if you're selling the game and people are buying it and people are buying microtransactions and things, if you're going to expand the team, why the fuck would you just get like 41 other people that aren't software engineers, that aren't writing code? Like, I don't get, what are the other 41 people doing? I don't understand. What are you paying them for? Because what do you... none of this makes sense. Everything about this statement makes no sense at all. There's like a million ways to approach it, but there's no point. I'm just lost for words. This shit is not real life.
I feel like this response was a copy-paste, considering I specifically asked, how many devs with coding experience are there? It seems like the answer is 1, and it's kinda odd that moderators and testers are considered part of the team. If the core team consists of 10 people but only one of them can code, what are the other 9 people doing?
I mean, what are the other 41 people doing overall?
Additionally, I think it's undeniable that over the course of the game's development, Voreg have tried to mislead people into thinking the game's being worked on by an established studio.
This is just a fact. Like, if you looked into this game originally, all of their public, profiles that they'd made for their company had, dozens, 30s, 50s, 100, 150 employees listed, which they have to set. Like, they click those buttons, and the game was written by one dude, which... then means you've lied repeatedly. Like, this is provable, this is objective, demonstrable, true statement. You have lied over and over again in multiple places for multiple years. And there's only one reason to do that. And that's to hoodwink people, to make people think something that isn't real, to give you false credibility. There's no other reason to do this.
On Deal Room, they're listed as having between 2 and 10 employees in 2021. I found this screenshot from the studio's LinkedIn from my first video covering Quinfall when it was announced in 2023. Here they list between 51 and 200 employees, conveniently the size you'd expect for a team trying to make an ambitious MMO. If you look now, it says between 11 and 50 employees, with only 6 having their profiles linked. In previous interviews, they've said our employees...
They just downscaled, bro. They just downscaled 100 people. It's all good. It happens, What you do is you have no money, have 151 to 200 people on the roster, and then when you start getting money, you just fire 110 of them, and then still just have one guy that's doing that's doing coding. All of this makes complete sense to me personally.
Have experience in well-known gaming companies.
56 people on the team. So this dude just picks a number on any given day. He wakes up. Oh, okay, how many people working here today? 56. Okay, right, off to bed. Wake up next morning. 151. Like, what the fuck is this?
Companies without elaborating further. In this interview back in March 2023, they said, "The average age of our current development team is high, so you could say that they have experience with many different games from past to present." Going on to say they have 56 people on their team, and of course they plan to expand that. And on Cloudara.ai, the company is listed as having a revenue between $11 million and $100 million with 78 employees. So
yeah, it is what it is.
So over the past 3 years, the developers' claims about team size and experience has really been all over the place. This, in combination with them photoshopping their company logo on a game studio stock image, is another reason why people have been skeptical about the team, and rightly so. Currently in-game there's no way to report other players. It doesn't work, and I've received multiple messages from people who have gotten banned from the Quinfall Discord for trying to report things such as bugs and exploiters to the developers. Why? Quinfall has a large community, and no one is banned for simply providing feedback or reporting a bug. This is completely false and seems to be part of a smear campaign.
Yeah. I trust you, bro. You've said loads of stuff recently that's really, really trustworthy. So there'd be no reason why I wouldn't trust you, of course. I will say that personally, whenever anyone messages me and says, I was banned for no reason, I roll my eyes a little bit and just think, I don't believe you. Unless you show me evidence and all your messages are still in the server, and even then you could have been private messaging people, you could have been doing something else, they could have had a legitimate reason. I always find this is like one of the most flimsiest things to ever criticize or look into, just because a lot of the times people lie, and a lot of the times people don't know how they are phrasing what they deem to be like normal criticism or opinions or feedback or whatever, and they're just a dick, and then they get banned or they get silenced or whatever, and then they're like, oh, this happened for no reason. That being said, if a provable liar says, oh no, these people are lying and it's a smear campaign, it makes me believe the other people a little bit more, just because it is what it is. And my own experience with people like this is that they do typically tend to be like trigger happy on banning people and silencing people, because, you know, if you're going to lie about stuff, there's a real good chance you're also going to stop people telling the truth. It's just how it goes.
If you spend some time in our community and check our Discord server, you'll see that players frequently communicate directly with the developers, share their suggestions, and express both positive and negative feedback freely. In fact, we often acknowledge player concerns and discuss ways to improve the game based on their input. However, as per our community guidelines, individuals who disrupt the environment, engage in trolling, or repeatedly display toxic behaviour receive warnings from our moderation team. If such behaviour continues, temporary or permanent bans are enforced. These measures are never applied unfairly. So I asked this question because I had multiple people reach out to me with screenshots of them getting banned from the Discord for trying to report bugs or report players. Quinfall is the only MMO I've ever played where there's no option to report bugs or players in-game. If you try to do this, you click a button and nothing happens. So,
I mean, why even fucking have it there in the first place then? Like, this is utterly useless.
Players take to the Discord to do it. Oddly, they didn't even respond to this point in their response, and the Discord does indeed appear to be a bit of an echo chamber with trigger-happy mods, so make of that what you will. Currently, the game has some store-bought Unity assets on the cash shop. I think people...
Oh, wow. I didn't know this. This is fucking... This is insane, bro. This is how the fuck are you going to buy Unity assets and sell them as cosmetics on the cash shop? That's fucking wild. Especially since you claim you... Bro, again, if you've got 42 members on your team, what are the other 41 people doing? What? You hired 41 people and you don't have any animators, any fucking people making assets for the game? What the fuck are they doing? I don't understand.
People can understand when developers use store-bought assets in-game for development, but this is the first MMO I've ever seen where they're on the cash shop. Can you see why people have a problem with this, and do you plan to change it? Quinfall began as a startup project initially developed with limited resources and a small team.
Apart from what you posted on all those websites that said you had hundreds of people working for you and tens of millions of dollars in revenue. But, you know, I digress.
Even we were surprised by the overwhelming interest in our first trailer. Our goal was always to shape the game based on community support and feedback. From the beginning, we were transparent. To accelerate Quinfall's development, we are using pre-made 3D assets. We are not asking for Kickstarter-style donations or any extra financial support. Instead, we chose to use assets to speed up development.
None of this has anything to do with what he asked you. Literally nothing. I do not think, well, I'll qualify this because I know better. When somebody's determining whether something's a scam or whether something's bad, what they'll do is they'll look at it in totality. And if you have like red flag, red flag, red flag, issue, obviously then, and it's all store-bought assets, people can be like, oh, it's an asset flip, it's a scam, it's shovelware, it's blah, 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 it's bad, bad, bad. But then obviously some people also incorrectly just assume something being comprised of store-bought assets is all the same and it's all a scam and it's all bad, which is just not true. These assets exist for a reason. There's nothing bad about it. Indie developers are going to use them. They're going to continue using them. Some of the most fucking incredibly fun games do this. Like Phasmophobia was almost entirely assets, and that's just a fun as fuck game that nobody would have made if it wasn't for the fact that this is possible to do, because it allows for people that have a vision, have coding experience, but don't have the money to pay people to make a bunch of assets to go into their game that might not do well, to be able to do so and do so quicker and cheaper. Assets are fine. The issue is that when you combine all store-bought assets with then other issues, that's a problem. And I know you've got to have a cash shop, but I've never seen, I'm unaware of having seen a game before buying store-bought assets and selling them in the cash shop as cosmetics. Maybe it exists. I disagree with it then as well. This just seems dog shit, right? You're charging people for things that you bought. Oh, this is a $40 pack. Let's bang it in the cash shop for $10 each. Like, it's garbage. But this is not the question he asked in the first place. It's just, yet again, answering no question with a bunch of bullshit that makes no sense.
Said, replacing these assets in the future will be a relatively simple process. The entire Quinfall map consists of placeholders, and once we reach a sufficient level, rebuilding assets the world from scratch would take roughly a month.
What? Bro. The development pipeline you would need to replace an entire world of custom created assets would be bigger than some of the biggest game companies in the world. There is not a fucking chance you can replace an entire game world's assets that are all store-bought with custom created, modeled assets in a month. There is no way. Even if you could get all of them created, I don't think in a month one person, which you have as a developer, could get all these in the game and looking properly. There's no chance. But the bottleneck is always going to be getting all of those assets made. Like, you need hundreds of artists to be doing this. This is fucking just delusional. It is what it is.
So you can consider this a temporary situation. So in my question, I didn't even mention the use of assets for development purposes as being an issue. I think most people are fine with that. The issue is that store-bought assets are being sold on the cash shop, which they didn't respond to. Additionally, I don't think you could rebuild an entire MMO world's assets from scratch in a month.
Nope.
That sounds like a ridiculous comment to make after following multiple other MMOs in development for years, but hey, I'm not a game dev. If you are a game dev and this is possible, let me know in the comments.
It ain't.
Maybe it's possible with AI, who knows. One of my biggest
probably still
critiques
isn't.
with the Quinfall was the game's combat. It seems that the combat is fairly close to what's provided out of the box by Atavism 10. Do you plan on improving the combat drastically from what it is now? Is this something you could realistically do? First, let us clarify that we have no connection to Atavism. As we continue development and release game updates, players will see that a pre-made system like Atavism would not be sufficient for an MMORPG of this scale.
That's very interestingly worded. So this doesn't say that they don't use Atavism. It says they have no connection to Atavism, which again, if you're like, a lot of my job is just reading between the lines of what people say. And again, it's going to be an issue if they're using AI or auto-translate or whatever, but saying we have no connection to them doesn't say you don't use it. It's like, oh, we don't know them, we don't work with them, but you could still be using it. And then to follow it on saying, as we continue to develop and release updates, players will see that a pre-made system like Atavism would not be sufficient for an MMO. This literally doesn't answer the question whether you use it or not. This actually completely avoids answering whether you use Atavism or not. Like, this is a major red flag of how... I mean, every other question is answered in a shit way anyway that avoids answering a question, but this doesn't say whether they do or not.
If you examine Quinfall's technical infrastructure, you will find no trace of Atavism in our resources. We acknowledge that the...
But then why even include this bit? You could just say, no, we don't use Atavism. Job done. Like, there's no reason to include this. This is just weird. But yeah, they're saying that they don't, I guess.
Current combat system needs improvement, and we are actively working on it. We will be providing a detailed roadmap outlining our plans for combat mechanics, animations, and other key features. So the reason I asked this question is that I saw a few comments from people saying that the Quinfall is built using Atavism, which is essentially MMO Maker for Unity, and it makes sense because Atavism basically includes all of the Quinfall's features. In my mind, using Atavism is the only way that one developer could code such a large game in such a short period of time. If you compare the Atavism footage to Quinfall, they do look very similar, but I can't find any concrete evidence to prove that they used it, so maybe they did.
Oh yeah, this does look very... I mean, even running through the trees and everything with how they look, this does look very similar, but I don't know, so I'm not going to say whether it is or not, nor would I even particularly care. If the only reason I'd care is if they claim otherwise, but then they are. If somebody wants to make a game and every single system in the game is store-bought, I couldn't care less. It depends on if the game's fun. Like, I've played games where every single thing in the game was store-bought and then customized, and I'm like, this is a fun game. I don't care. I feel like that as a talking point is kind of bait for people that want to be outraged. But yeah, it's about whether or not you're open and honest about it. So... it is what it is.
Maybe they didn't. Either way, even if they did use Atavism to make the game, it wouldn't even bother me. So long as the game's fun to play, that's all that really matters. Really, I'm just trying to make sense of how one guy has coded this entire game and all of its systems. For the testing of the Quinfall...
the game's fucked, so it makes sense why it's one guy.
Some users were asked for their phone number and address. I've tested a few MMOs and never been asked for this. Why did you ask for this information? And can you understand why people saw this as a red flag, considering user details were stored in a database's plain text in your previous MMO? To clarify, we never requested address information from players. During the testing phase, phone numbers were required solely to prevent fake accounts. This was purely a verification measure. However, based on player feedback, we've since replaced the system with Steam key authentication.
Why wouldn't you just do that in the first place?
We continuously adjust our processes to align with player expectations. Regarding data security, we take serious precautions. All information on our website is protected using encryption protocols and is securely stored to prevent unauthorized access. Any comment on the screenshots of text being copy-pasted from the BDO wiki?
I remember seeing this, so if they say that this doesn't exist, I'm gonna yet again say, LOL, it did. I've just had a delivery. What is it? What was I waiting for? It is probably a magic card. Which one is it? It's an anime smothering tithe. Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. Amazing. Okay, let's finish this video.
With modern browsers, anyone can use the inspect element tool to alter content of a web page to make it appear however they want. When Quinfall was announced, it naturally posed a threat to some groups in the industry.
Oh, fuck off, bro. Yeah. Oh, it was our competitors. Black Desert Line was threatened by the Quinfall. Oh, this is so fucking funny.
Unfortunately, smear campaigns and fake accusations are common in the gaming world. So the reason I asked this is that multiple people told me they saw the BDO links, including other content creators who don't have any reason to lie, but there isn't any solid evidence other than accusations, so I guess we have to discount it. The response of calling it part of...
I mean, it's literally here, you can see it, and people are refreshing the page and everything, so yeah.
A smear campaign from other groups in the industry who saw the Quinfall as a threat sounds a bit delusional though, and certainly isn't common practice in the gaming world. Finally, are there any claims circulating about the Quinfall from the mmorpg community that you consider to be false and would like to speak on? The most frustrating claim for us is that the game is a scam. Anyone can try the game on Steam for up to 2 hours and request a refund if they're not satisfied. Despite this, people still spread claims that the game is fake, which is truly disappointing.
This is true, and it's untrue at the same time. Like, yeah, but people don't use the word scam like as a legal definition of scam, because that would be like, oh, somebody's trying to defraud me by saying, oh, you know, give me $100 and I'll invest it for you, and then you'll get back $150 tomorrow. Like, and then they don't give you any money and they run away. They've defrauded you. When people in gaming typically refer to something as a scam, what they're saying is, this shit doesn't add up. Be very skeptical. Be worried because there's a history here. This is too good to be true. Like, it's a catch-all word to warn people because they know what a scam is. They know this will probably, you know, not be what it claims to be. And people are always going to do that. It is what it is. And I don't disagree that they should. Like, this is just how things are. And yeah, you can, at this point, you can buy the game on Steam, and if you don't like it, refund it after 2 hours, which is not mega helpful with an MMO, by the way, because MMOs aren't really games you get a massive handle on in 2 hours. But yeah, I could understand being upset about this. And the game is obviously not fake. The game exists. It's just the trailers looked way better than what the game actually is, and also the game's fucked, so probably not really worth the money.
We are continuously improving the game based on player feedback and have major updates planned for combat, animations and life skills.
Cool.
You can review our roadmap below, which we are sharing as part of this interview. Then they link the roadmap for 2025, which you can pause and have a look at. Overall, despite this MMO and a lot of these responses sending my bullshit detector off the charts to places it's never been before, I am impressed that the game was basically made by one developer.
Yeah.
Even if the game was entirely made up of store-bought assets, AI-generated art, even if they used Atavism and every shortcut imaginable, I do still find it impressive that they achieved this in such a short space of time.
True.
I can respect the hustle and grind. Personally, I would never invest more time into playing the Quinfall purely because it's client authoritative and very easy to hack, even with easy anti-cheat.
Yeah.
The devs have made many contradictive statements, so I wouldn't trust them, and the devs have said that there won't be any wipes despite cheaters running rampant, meaning the game's economy and integrity is forever cooked. That being said, the game costs $20, and a lot of people do feel like they've got $20 worth of fun out of it, so I wouldn't say it's a straight up scam either. For me to even consider trying this game again in the future, the devs would need to make the game server-side authoritative, get on top of the cheating situation, then do a server wipe. If they do all those things, maybe we'll see a Quinfall in 2026 video from me in the future. But that's it for this video. I don't usually make these kind of drama investigation vids, so I probably didn't do the best job with it. I'd actually encourage other content creators to also go down the rabbit hole and verify if what the developers have said in this interview is true or not.
It ain't. Yeah, you did a good job, Peon. My boy, you did a great job. I think we can leave it there. Obviously, most of the shit they said is just absolute nonsense, isn't it? It's absolutely terrible. As a game developer, 10 years, 1 month, those assets are not even a pipe dream. It's a load of BS. Just plain impossible to do, even with an incredibly well-built pipeline of professionals. Yeah, this is just the case. And anybody who knows anything, I'm not a game developer, but I followed it enough to know that this is just lying, and it's lying for the sake of lying. And if you're lying about something as simple as that, like, you can't be trusted on pretty much anything. Plus, a lot of this stuff is just provably false that's been said, or just not answering questions. So it's just more of the same. And my position will always be, if you're an indie dev and you've got big dreams, cool, just don't be dishonest, just admit it. And people will give you the respect for doing that, because that's one of the things you gain from being a small developer, is the ability to just be like, yeah, there's no corporate BS here. There's no nonsense. We can just have a conversation with you, be frank about it, be open and honest. And people appreciate that human element of the thing that you gain by being a small development team. But this has always been bullshit. Is it a scam? No. Like, you're getting what you pay for. It's there. You can see the reviews. If you feel scammed after that point, you've simply not been paying attention, and that's your fault. But at the same time, it is dishonest, which dishonesty for money, a lot of people call a scam. And if they want to do that, that's fine. So there we go. The link to Peon's video will be in the video description. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Go check out GamerSups. You can buy hoodies like this one that you can't even see. I don't know if this one's still available, but you can buy hoodies. You can buy gamer sups, waifu cups. You can buy drinks. You can buy loads of different stuff. They've even got a trading card game now. So go click the link in the video description. Use my code, get a discount. I get money kicked back to me from whatever you spend. So you get money off, I earn money. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Peace.